Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another broadcast of Northwest Georgia Cryptics. I am Rick Weaver, your host, joined tonight by my co-host, Mr. Shane Honey. Shane, how you been doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good, man. How are you, buddy?
I've been doing great. Waiting on our guest for tonight, Mr. Chuck Turner. Uh, Chuck's supposed to have joined us. I sent out a couple of requests to him. But anyway, folks, we'll continue on without Chuck for at the moment. Uh, Shane, as a young feller, did you ever watch the movie Legend of Boggy Creek
Oh,
Monsters?
shoot. Yeah.
Okay,
See, I guess I was about 8 or 9 years old when I first saw that movie on television.
well, it had been years uh, since I had saw the movie. I saw it as a youngster, and
Mm.
I happened to run across it on YouTube tonight. Hang on a minute, let me get text. Okay. Uh, anyway, I had saw the movie as a youngster, and I happened to run across it on YouTube tonight, and I rented the movie. I think it was like $2.99 to rent it. Uh,
Mm.
but I sat back and watched it, and what really got me was of course, the graphics of the movie. Compared, what they had back then compared to what we got today. Uh,
Mm.
but overall, I really enjoyed the movie. But it got me to thinking that you know I've spoken on many of these videos of mine and Blake's encounter down at uh, Altoona Lake back in 2011, 2012, uh, and then everything just kind of died down and has been basically uh, somewhat dead ever since as far as uh, Sasquatch activity in the area, which of course
Mm.
they've been doing a lot of logging in the area down there. But anyway, uh, I was watching this movie tonight, and about midway of the movie, there's uh, I didn't realize this as a child, as watching the movie as a child, but this creature terrorized this little community for like a onslaught of summer into winter
Mm.
the first year, and I think maybe early spring the next year, and they got to shooting this creature or whatever. Well, the creature left for 8 years and stayed gone for 8 years, and then reappeared in the same community, and basically, maybe a few families had moved in and out or whatever during this time period, but went back basically to the old same old places that it had uh, terrorized before and terrorized again.
Yeah.
Uh, so that is kind of that I've always felt these creatures are uh, what they call them nomads. These creatures
Mm-hmm.
these
Nomadic.
creatures travel. Yeah, nomadic. These creatures travel with uh, the game source,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that uh, I believe that's what they've done in the area where Blake and I done extensive research there at the lake. And who's to say, if they do it on a 6 8 year cycle, um, I may need to, or we may need to start doing research down there in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, on that movie, Legend of Boggy Creek, of course, Charles B. Pierce was the one that directed the movie and all that. And and for years, I've got, I believe I'm right in saying this. For years, that movie was in like the public domain, and then his daughter actually finally got to where she was able to copyright it, the movie, and she has had a bunch of restoration and stuff on that film, and I haven't seen the a restored version of it yet, but they say it's really super clear and way more so than what we're used to seeing, for years and years now. But it would be great to see that like that restored, and I need to break down and buy the DVD, the restored version. I think I have two copies of the normal version, but but watching the normal version, with all the what would you call it, the imperfections in the film and the sound of the movie, just makes it that much more nostalgic to me. Bringing me back to my childhood,
That's
watching the very first time.
yeah, that's what that's what came that's what came across to me today was the fact that this, you know, watching this thing after all these years and going
Mm-hmm.
back and the memories of watching it back then and
Mm-hmm.
how you know, as a child these things frighten you. Uh, I don't know as an adult. I've had a lot of encounters with these things, and I don't know. I'm not going to say that I've got beyond the frightened stage with them, but uh, I guess I've learned to. I don't know. I guess I've learned to kind of cope with what they do, as
Mm-hmm.
as far as trying to run you out of an area when you come in. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, of course, I'm not going to say that I've encountered a really aggressive type other than on the mountain when my dog got killed. But uh, you know, even then, I didn't see this thing face to face. Don't know, uh, what prompted it to even kill my dog, other than my dog running out and running in on it. Which
Mm-hmm.
any wild animal is going to do what they're going to do.
Oh yeah.
But um, even with the even watching the movie, going back to the movie, even watching the movie, Bobby Ford on there that actually got attacked by it. He ran back to the house in that scene, where the two guys told him to go back and check on the women folk, and the younger guy broke and started back to the house and run right into this thing, and this thing basically whooped the piss out of him, and
Mm-hmm.
he was able to get loose from it and get into the house. But had this thing been wanting to kill him, it had snapped him in half.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If one gets a hold of you, I don't think there's much you can do because they want to do harm to you or kill you. Yeah, I don't think there's nothing you really can do to stop them because they're so, you know, people that's never seen one, they they just they just can't grasp the size of these things. The thickness, of course, of them. But you do hear some that are slim and stuff. It's just like people. You got slim people, you got fat people, you got tall people, you got short people, and I think it's it kind of same thing for these creatures. I think. Um, but yeah. for someone that's never had a sighting of one, they just can't, grasp the size of these things, And me and you discussed several times that, chimpanzee, they're like 5 to 7 times stronger than a human man, you know, and they're actually smaller than we are. So this thing, like I tell people, just think how strong these creatures are, 7, 8, 9 foot tall, and as big as they are. It's just, unfathomable about how strong these things could be. And like I've told you before, if they want to get in your house, they're going to get in. A door ain't going to stop them. If they want to get in somewhere, they're going to get in. A door's not going to stop them, or the window sure is not going to stop them from getting in. Now, speaking of old Bigfoot Sasquatch movies, have you ever seen the movie The Creature from Black Lake?
I think I saw like the first 15, 20 minutes into the movie. And
Of course, it's a fictional movie. As far as I know, it's a fictional movie, but it's a really good movie. To me, it's not quite up there to Legend of Boggy Creek, because that's the cult classic, as far as Bigfoot movies go. But it's a really good movie. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's on YouTube. I had a DVD copy of it. It took me forever and a day to find one. We'll find one at the time that I could afford to get. They're available in their copy. They're cheaper now, I believe. I haven't looked in a long time to see how much they cost, but it's got a lot of, I guess you say, parallels with Legend of Boggy Creek. I think it's made like 4 years after Boggy Creek, and it takes place in Louisiana. And so you got the Legend of Boggy Creek.
Could you tell our viewers the name of that movie again?
I think it was made in 76 or 77. Creature from Black Lake in
Okay,
say
that
again,
was a
Rick?
creature. That was a creature from Black Lake.
The Creature from Black Lake, yeah.
Okay.
I believe it's all a fictional movie. I don't believe it's based on any. It could be based on some true accounts. I really don't know, but it takes place in around a little town called Oil City, Louisiana. But it's a pretty good movie. I mean, it doesn't have any fancy costumes in it or anything like that, but it's a good little movie. It's well worth watching. But it's one of my favorite Sasquatch movies to watch. Is that one as well? And it's got that old the '70s nostalgic feel to it, similar to Legend of Boggy Creek. But it's got some well-known actors in. Was it Dub Taylor? He's in there, and he was in a bunch of shows and movies back in the '50s and '60s. And there's a couple other guys, I can't think of their names right offhand, that are in that movie as well. But it's a really good one, well worth watching. And if any of the listeners, most of them probably seen it, but if you haven't seen it, check it out, because I believe it's on YouTube. The full length movie is on YouTube, and you can watch it for free. And Creature from Black Lake, pretty cool movie. Pretty cool movie. And like I told you here the other day, the movie Something in the Woods. It's a newer movie, 2015 or something like that. I believe it was made, something like that. But it's based on a true story, and it's a really good Bigfoot movie. I think it's not one of those ones that's got Sasquatch going through killing everybody and their brother and such. Those type of movies, which I enjoy some of them as well. But to me, right off the top of my head, the three best ones to me is Legend of Boggy Creek, Creature from Black Lake, and Something in the Woods. It's a really good one. There's probably a bunch of others out there. I'm just not, the name of them is just not coming to me. But those three are three
There
of
and
my favorites.
all right, folks, and there you go is Shane's pick of the week. I
Shane is
agree with him.
part movie critic.
I agree with him. I agree with him wholeheartedly. Though all three very good movies. I
Yes,
do
they
recommend
are.
them
Yes,
highly.
I tell you what, I spent many a nights in the past. Oh, sorry about that. I spent many a nights in the past watching them movies, and always enjoyed them and such. And uh, like I said, any of our listeners have it watched any of the three, check them out, man. They're worth watching. I love them. Of course, there's a lot of older
Shane,
documentaries too. Good
I
too.
know, I know, Shane. You're just now. You're really starting to you just get into the research end of all of this, and
Hmm.
what what the reviewers that have Sasquatch. What would you say? What would you tell them is the main? No, I don't know what I'm looking for here. What would be the ultimate goal of doing of getting into Sasquatch research, doing the
Yeah,
actual research and the end results?
I tell you, my goal is to just learn, as much I can about them. Um, and a lot of people, want to prove that they exist, which that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I know they exist. Had that short encounter, and and seen some other evidence, and listened to so much testimony of people that's had encounters and such. And I just want to know as much as I can about them. And some people are for killing one, and some people aren't. It's just, which I'm fine either way. Honestly, I have no desire to go out and kill one unless I've been attacked or something, trying to protect myself. But people, but yeah, I just want to know all I can about them. And of course, I
Well,
like to have a counter. Of course, I would.
isn't that the ultimate goal of every researcher, though, is to learn all they can about these creatures?
Hmm.
Even though it's the last 50 years that there's thousands and thousands of researchers out there, uh, and even after 50, 60 years of researching these creatures, we still you know track evidence is basically
Hmm.
the best evidence that we have of these creatures. Now, of course, Dr. Melba Ketchum, I think New Mexico, she's been working on the DNA sequence of these creatures. You know, for the last few years, I was told here a few days ago that there's a couple of top researchers Sasquatch researchers that's actually gone in with her on doing this to try to prove that these creatures are a species of unknown primate. Uh, you know, but ultimately going back to the deal about killing one of these creatures, of course we've always been
Hmm.
ever since the conception of this group, we've always been a no-kill group.
Yeah.
We do not believe in going out and killing one just to be able to throw it on the slab and prove to science that it exists. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've always been against that. If perchance somebody actually found a body out in the woods, or one got hit by a semi or something of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
then of course science wanted to look at it and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they do exist. Then I guess that would be okay. But like I say, as
Mm-hmm.
far as taking the life of one of these magnificent creatures just to prove that prove they are out there. No, I don't believe in that.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be, I guess, the most ideal situation would be to find one that had passed away, you know, somewhere, and then let mainstream scientists, um, look at it, study it, because that's what they're going to do, But that would be the ideal thing. I would think, as opposed to just going out and shooting one. But like me and you discussed, several times. I have no doubts that these things have been killed in the past, probably fairly recently. And but I think usually where there's one, there's others that are not too far away. And so I think that if you do shoot one and kill it, I believe you're probably gonna have a hard time um, trying to get the body out without being attacked by other Sasquatches. That's just something that's my opinion. That's kind of how I see that, because I've heard of too many encounters to where there's been multiple Sasquatches seen. And I tend to believe that they pretty much live in family groups, and I'm sure, just like about with any type of animal type thing. I'm not saying Sasquatch is an animal, because I don't know what what exactly they are, but just saying, um, that I believe, like I said, that they mostly pretty much stay in family group, but that you'll have, rogue individuals, for lack of a better term for them, out and about doing their own thing, and you know, so other than a rogue male or something, out and about doing his own thing and getting into getting into stuff and whatever. Other than that being the exception, I think they pretty much stay in family groups, and like I said, I think most of the time where there's one, there's others not too far away. That's
Well,
just my opinion.
getting back to the subject you brought up about the rogue males, I know I've read a lot of books written by well-known authors in the Sasquatch world, and I've talked to a lot of people over the last few years since we've been doing this, and uh, I found that I kind of believe along the lines that most of them do that. When you run into a rogue male like this, it's where one has actually been. You're talking about them living in a family unit. It's where one's
Hmm.
actually been chastised by the unit and has actually
Yeah.
been turned out on its own, and that's where I think as lies the root of all the problem with the Sasquatch is when one is actually turned out and it has to especially at a younger age, and it has to learn to it has to learn basically the skills of living on its own.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like you, talking about the younger males. I tend to think just by listening to and reading other people's encounters and run-ins with these creatures, it seems like that a lot of the mischievous stuff is done by younger males. Something that kind of like a human teenage male, getting into stuff, and you know what I mean. I think a lot of that mischievous type stuff, not all the time by any means, but I think a lot of it is probably done by younger males. You know, getting into stuff and
Yeah, I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it, especially where you have you have women, especially women, and you know children report sightings of these things about them standing around in the woodlines watching them or whatever. Uh, I think I think these things, especially the males of the species at a younger age, I think their hormones start running wild with them, and they start doing stuff that they'd normally not do, just like a teenage human
mm,
does.
oh yeah, because with Sasquatch, it seems like there's a lot of parallels between them and humans, but there's also a lot of parallels with them and being kind, animals, being kind of animalistic. You know, that's why I don't have a clue what these creatures are. I just don't have a clue. And Lord knows I would like to know in my lifetime, but I don't know if that will you know would happen. You know, but who knows? I mean, it could be proven tomorrow that they exist and stuff. But like I say, I don't need some scientists to tell me that they're real, or some expert so-called researcher or whatever, because like I said, I've had that one encounter all them many years ago, and I know what I saw, and I had two gentlemen with me too that saw the same thing I did, and I know they're real. I just want to learn all I can about them.
Right, that goes back. Yeah, that goes back to the aspect of everything we've talked about tonight. These creatures, even though over the last 50 years, thousands of people have researched these animals. Still, really, you know, we have hypotheses at what we think they do say for instance, killing deer, dispatching wild game. We
Mm-hmm.
think we know how they do it, but really we don't. Uh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you go back to what they actually eat. You know, we we don't have a Sasquatch to uh, follow around and get poop scrapings from him. Uh, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we just have to kind of guess when we're out in the field researching and we run across a uh, a pile of feces that we have to send it out to the lab, have it tested, find out what it could be, rule out what it is, rule out what it isn't. Uh, so it's basically, as researchers in the Sasquatch field, uh, a lot of times I feel that we're chasing our own tail around in a circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I know
Now,
what I've seen.
yeah.
Go ahead, Shane.
Oh, the only I wasn't trying to change the subject on you there, Rick, at all, but it's you know me for a little while, and I sometimes I get kind of scatterbrained and things come to my mind, and if I don't say them when I'm thinking about them, I forget. But in all your years of research on this subject, as far as footprints and such go, um, that you can remember, how many different footprints have you found over the years you doing this research?
Probably the most recent was 2 years ago, uh, down at the site at Altima Lake.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a hill as you're going in on the back side over there from where our normal research area is at. There's a big open field that goes from the road. I'd say there's probably 2.5 acres of it. But it had been raining real heavy uh, a couple of days prior, so my grandson and I were down there just walking the woods out. Uh, I like to go through the woods with just my digital camera and just uh, and then take still shots as I'm walking, and you'll pick stuff up on by doing that you never pick up with your naked eye. So we
Mm-hmm.
were down there doing that, and anyway, we stopped and we walked out across the field, and about 6, 8 tracks. They measured out about, I think, about 13 inches long and about
Mm-hmm.
probably, I don't know, I'm going to say, I think I've got it wrote down here somewhere, but I think maybe 6, 6.25 inches at the heel that they measured. And
Mm-hmm.
as best I could tell, they did have the mid torch brake. Y'all gonna have to excuse my voice. I think I'm trying to take laryngitis or something. But anyway, we were able to cast a couple of them on the next show if I can think of it. I'll show you a couple of the cast. But uh, what what we really found down there that day that really caught my attention was there was a pine tree about this big around and about 3.5, maybe 4 foot from the stump up on the pine tree. Now this was a live pine tree. It looked like something had taken its hands and just dug its thumb and fingers into this tree and pulled a big hunk out of it. Uh, I examined the tree for any type of knife marks, hatchet marks. There was none of that. I've got this on pictures on my computer. The pictures of it. Uh, it's wild looking as all get out. Man, it does. It looks just like something took a big hand and got a hold of that tree and just pulled a big hunk right straight out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
When you
dude, when I
examine
saw
that,
that, we got pictures of it, got pictures of the area. I told my grandson, I said, let's get back to the vehicle. I'm through for the day. I've seen all I want to see. Something
mm-hmm.
that's capable of doing that right there to a growing pine tree. Uh, can you imagine what it would do to your head if it got hold of you?
I know it. I know it. When you were examining that tree, were there any holes or anything in there where like insects or anything?
No, sir.
Mm-hmm.
No, sir. Sure wasn't. I checked for all of it. I even checked for resin runs where maybe it looked like beetles had been boring or anything, and you know how resin will accumulate to the outside the tree and run down. I checked for all that.
Yes.
There was none of that. Dude, this was a perfectly healthy tree, and honest to God, it looks like somebody just walked up, took a big old hand, and clamped it and yanked a section and I'm not talking just bark. I'm talking the meat of the tree. It just looked like
Yeah,
it
the
just
tree.
squeezed it and yanked it straight out.
Mm-hmm.
And dude,
Yeah.
I've got it on. You're gonna have to come up here and sit down and let me show you the pictures I've got on this computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Cause
like
dude,
that.
I've got shit on here. I got junk on here to make your hair stand up.
Mm-hmm. The reason I asked that because I had heard of um, a gentleman who had seen one of these creatures um, push break and push down a tree. It was a dead tree though, and he observed this creature. What looked like to him, it was picking insects out of the tree and eating them. And that's why I had asked you that you know if it had any insect holes in it. And I also heard of a gentleman who saw one take its fist and knock on a tree, and it put its ear up. And this guy was actually deer hunting, and he was I don't know how high up in the deer stand he was. Pretty good ways, probably 15, 18 foot. You know how most deer hunters like get up about that high. But he was watching this creature, and it wasn't that too far from him. And evidently, it didn't smell him, it didn't see him or anything. But this thing had knocked on the tree, and then it put his ear up to it, like he was side of its head. He couldn't see the ear, but he thought that's what it was doing, was putting his ear beside the tree, and he was listening. And he said the next thing he knows, it knocks it down, and then knocks the tree over. And and this was I come to find out it was a hollow tree, and it uh, broke the broke the tree, got into the hollow part of it, and it pulled out a possum. And it took that possum, and evidently it had it by the tail. I don't quite remember that this how it had it in its hand, but make a long story short, it took um, that possum and smacked its head up against the tree. And so evidently that was his meal for that time, you know. And so there's another little thing there to where that where they're able to find food sources not just on the ground, but within trees and such. The first example I gave about the one that would appear to be eating insects out of the tree. Another one, you know, how it knew there was something in that tree, I don't know. But tapped it and listened. Evidently was listening and heard it, and then knocked the tree down and got pulled out a possum and smacked it against the tree and killed it. And so
All right, we know through mainstream science that deer have probably the best hearing uh, of the North American wild game out here running around. That deer do,
hmm
which now turkey also, turkey's eyesight, turkey's hearing, uh, but this goes back, the relevancy of this goes back to the deal that what about Sasquatch? We don't know
hmm
what type of deer. We know what type of humans. We know what the human hearing range is. We know what the We know what the gorilla hearing range is by being able to measure the frequency. We know basically with chimpanzee, but yet we don't know what a Sasquatch. We
Yeah,
don't know. You know, they may have hearing that's 10 times super than ours is. There's no telling.
yeah, yeah. That wouldn't surprise me at all that they have a really, really heightened sense of smell, sight, hearing. You know, it wouldn't. It does not surprise me one bit that their senses would be so much more than what we have.
Well, in order for these creatures to live like they do, to live in the wild, to live every day, survive every day, we don't know what their age range is. We don't know if they live for 40 years. We don't know if they live for 100 years. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
something we don't. That's something as researchers we really can't tell at this moment. But
Yeah.
we do know that these creatures are out there. You know, that's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. These creatures actually do live and exist in our forest here in North America. Uh, these creatures live as a savage a lifestyle as any creature can live as far as what they have to go through to survive on a daily basis. Uh, so,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I commend these animals wholeheartedly. But yet that goes back to we have so many questions. We don't know, you know, there's a consensus in modern day population that these creatures, oh, if they exist, they're a big warm teddy bear out there running around. Well, from what I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced out of I don't know, maybe 14, 15 separate encounters with these creatures over the years, uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're a very curious creature. They will seek you out. They will find out what you're doing. When you go out, and I've said this on many occasions, when you go in the forest, what you're doing and what you're doing there. Um, I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of encounters that you have. This is the type of encounters that most people have.
Mm-hmm.
But then they are, as you say, they are those rogue ones that I think I think maybe with them it might start out as them just wanting to get in, uh, but then it progresses from entertainment to disastrous with so a lot of the younger ones. Even the older
Mm-hmm.
ones could be that way. I don't know. I don't know what set these creatures off, but it's like I tell everybody: if you have an encounter with one of these creatures in the woods, just just uh, uh, just back out and leave it to them. You
Yeah.
you're in their home. Uh, unless you want to have a disastrous encounter with one of them, just back out and leave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that, Shane?
I share the same thoughts on that. Yeah, just back out, leave them alone. Um, you know, you, people don't. You wouldn't go around in the woods. You run across a bear. You're not going to sit there and poke a bear with a stick. You got more people's got more sense than to do that. And these things are so much more to me unpredictable, so much bigger, so much stronger. It's just common sense to me. If you run up on one in the woods, just back out of there, leave it alone. I feel the same way about that as you do. Even though the encounter that I had back many years ago, that it wasn't aggressive towards us, and it left the area, but that's not, but then again, we didn't go after it. Only thing we did, we went the opposite way from where we saw this being, this creature, got our dogs that night when we were hunting, and we left. Yes, we had to walk right past the area where the same spot where we saw it when it stood up and went across the path to the woods, and up the hill, and finally out of hearing uh, for us. But we had to walk through that same spot. But we did not have any thoughts about going after it, anything like that. We just got our dogs up and put them in the box and dog box in the truck, and we left. It's we just wasn't gonna to do that. And be honest with me, of course, I was about 17 years old or so at that time. I didn't even have any thought in my mind about investigating it, going to find it or anything like that. I just, we all three of us were scared, shocked, I guess you'd say too. And only thing, like I said, our only thoughts was to get our dogs and get out of that place. That's what we did. I can understand, people being curious and wanting to if you see one, and and people wanting to, I guess you'd say, go after it or whatever. But I personally, I wouldn't do that, and I would never tell somebody to do that, you know, because you never know what kind of mood these things are going to be in. You just don't, you know. And and like I've told you before, Rick, this is just my opinion, but I think they're kind of like people. You got people that are real laid back, easygoing people. You got people out there, excuse my language, they're nothing but assholes, and it seems like they're like it 24/7. And I don't think these things, attitude wise, are really much different, honestly. And like we've talked about before, we don't know what ticks these things off. You know, we just don't know. And so it's best one of them things just to be left alone, and you run across one, just like you said, just back out of there, be cool, try to be as calm as you can, and just leave. Because like we've talked about 100 times, you never know what these things will do. You never know what kind of mood they're in, and what little thing could tick them off. You could possibly look at one, and it, not that you're looking at it necessarily wrong as far as from a human standpoint, but it could take that look as being challenging or something, and it's and that wouldn't be a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, exactly right. A look of aggression. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, they could.
you
Don't
could actually
know.
walk up. You could actually walk up, and be standing there looking at one, and and just kind of smile at him or grin at him, and him take
Hmm.
that smile or grin as being a form of aggression on your part, and run over
Hmm.
and grab you up and slap you against a tree. You were talking about the deal a
Yep.
while ago about the possum being slapped against a tree. Well, I was reading an article where a couple of deer hunters, this has been a few years back down in Alabama, had actually encountered one of these things, or they had encountered something uh, that had apparently uh, tracked down excuse me a minute, please. Excuse me one minute.
Yeah, you're fine.
I figured Greg, you come on. What are you up to, Rick Ray? I got a podcast going on. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. Hey, sorry about that.
Hey, man, no apologies. It's fine.
What were we discussing?
What did you say, Rick? You broke up.
Oh,
I said,
I'm
what did you
sorry.
say there,
I
Rick?
said,
You broke up. No, you're
I said,
fine.
what were we discussing there when I walked away?
You was talking about how a grin could possibly set one of these creatures off that we just don't know. They're unpredictable.
That's exactly it. We don't know. Whereas we take that as a form of welcome or a form of not going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
One moment, my grandson's calling me.
No, you're fine, buddy.
Hello. Right in the middle of a podcast. What's up? Okay, I'll call you in just a minute. Love you too, bye.
Mr. Rick is a popular man.
Hey, folks, again, my apologies. That was my grandson. Have to kind of take his calls. But yeah, as we were talking, whereas we see that as a grin or whatever, a smile as a form of welcoming,
Agree.
to us, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
then there's no telling if they see that in the same light as we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Well,
just
we're
they're
talking
just so.
about. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Shane.
On just of grin. Now, this one thing that I have heard from witness encounters many, many, many times. These things, they do this at times. This hideous grin that it literally. A lot of people have described it. It's like the Cheshire cat from Alice in Wonderland. That creepy looking grin. I've heard a lot of witnesses describe that. And I know that primates, the great apes and stuff, a lot of them will do a grin like. And with these creatures, I don't know if the grin is something sinister type, but a lot of people have described it that way. If it's, that they're showing you aggression that, hey, you mess with me, I'm coming, I'm going to mess you up. Or or they do that as a as a sign of fear, or what? What's your take on that, Rick?
Well, of course, years ago I was a big fan of Professor Jane Goodall's uh, work with the great chimps, the great apes, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that by watching her, as far as chimpanzees, creatures of that nature, uh, they tend to form together in groups.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the facial expressions, you know, I really don't know. I know a lot of them. If you a lot of times when the chimps will do that, watching Professor Goodall's movie that she made, uh, a lot of times that was a form of aggression for them.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have banana piles piled out there, and one would run up, and the other one would grin, from ear to ear, the steadiest grin, and then just a huge community fight break out. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
this could be a form of aggression toward them. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I just know that would be real creepy to see that. That
Yeah, it would.
grin. That would, oh man, that'd make me pee my pants right there, if not do more than do more than that. But yeah, that's been reported, probably hundreds, if not thousands of times. That this real creepy Cheshire cat grin, just being. Honestly, I don't want to see that. Um, I just don't want to see that. But another thing that
No, that'd be something I think.
yeah, something I wouldn't want to encounter that way. But something that I've heard a lot about, and me and you have spoke about this before, is these things' ability to not only stand and run and walk upright, but their ability to drop down on all fours, and move that way. I've heard a lot of eyewitness, testimony about seeing them doing that, and of course, I've never seen that. I've only had that one encounter, and I do not doubt those
Okay, folks,
witnesses that have seen
on uh,
that.
on this deal with them dropping down like that. Go back to Sasquatch Brigade. Johnny Two Bears has a uh, film clip posted on there where uh, he was walking out this old road that runs from where he lives down there back out into a local WMA. I'll not call the name of the WMA, but
Yeah, I know which one
he
you're talking about, though. Yeah.
he had the camera turned around backwards, and you can actually see this big form about I'd say probably I don't know 60, 70 yards behind him, but it crossed that
Hmm.
dirt road, going from one side of the dirt road over into the other. Uh, Big, huge, bulky body, uh, but it on all fours. And
Hmm.
I had talked to Johnny about it and asked you if there were any bear in that area down there, and Johnny said none to speak of that he knew of. So,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Like
don't
you
know if that's
said, he's got that footage of that one doing that, running across there on all fours. Um, but I've heard a lot of people talk about seeing them do that, and actually seeing them. Uh, I remember one gentleman who saw one running on all fours away from him. It was kind of like quartering away from him, I guess you would say. And he said that sucker. It wasn't a great big one. He said it's probably about 6.5 to possibly 7 foot tall, and it wasn't built real big. It was more one of those slender, looking ones that you do hear about. Um, but that sucker was quartering away from him, and it was running upright, and then it drops down to all fours. And he said that thing was going just as fast on all fours as it was upright. And that's like, man. And I've heard that a lot. People seen them on all fours, and that's just like that grin. That's creepy. That's just creepy. You know
yeah,
that they can.
yeah. As a seasoned deer hunter. I've been hunting since I was in these mountains since I was probably 7 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, all over North Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. I saw bear and I had no mama bear come in one time, probably 15, 20 yards from me, and her cubs crossed right in front of her. And
Mm-hmm.
me sitting at the root of a damn big oak tree, and that's probably one of the scarier moments I've had. But to see
Oh
something like
yeah.
that, and then to go back and imagine what one of these massive creatures would look like down on all fours like that, and then stand right up
Mm-hmm.
on you. That would be heart stopping for me. Shane, listen, bud,
Oh
we have
yeah.
reached the 11 o'clock hour here, bud. I'm gonna go ahead and
All
sign us
right.
out. I want to thank
All
everybody
right.
that has. I want to thank everybody that has watched the show tonight, and everybody that will watch in the future. And I want to do a little challenge with everybody in the Calhoun, Chatsworth, Carterville area. Uh, if anyone has had any sightings or knows of anyone that's had any sightings in areas that we can get in and do an investigation, how about hitting me up at Northwest Georgia Cryptics at gmail.com or 706 1746. That's my personal number. And let me know. We'll be glad to come in and check it out. Shane, you got anything to close us out, bud?
No, that's about it. Just hope people that's listened and watched have enjoyed the show, and I know I really enjoy it. This is only my third time, but I really enjoy it. And talking about Sasquatches and talk about Sasquatch, that's a good day for me. So, but yeah, I hope everybody stays nice and warm this coming up week. It's going here in Georgia, North Georgia, going to be some really cold weather and such, and um, just everybody take care and God bless you and come join us again next Friday night.
All right, and folks, I want to apologize for our technical difficulties during the night. Our satellite feed uh, going in and out on us, but that's something we're going to have to take up with AT&T, I guess. But everybody, have a blessed weekend. Have a blessed start of your next week. Uh, Hope everybody's enjoyed tonight's show. Anybody in the future that watches it, hope you enjoy it. Uh, Shane, uh, thanks, buddy, for being on the show again tonight. We'll see y'all next week, hopefully with a new and exciting guest. Good night, everybody. Night, Shane.
Night, brother. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right. See ya.
All right.